Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Best English Podcast. I'm your host, Olivia.
And I'm your co-host, James. We are so happy to have you with us today. It feels great to be back in the studio, doesn't it, Olivia?
It really does, James. And today, we've got a topic that I think is going to be a complete game changer for so many of our listeners. If you're someone who is learning English and you feel a little bit stuck, this episode is dedicated to you.
Absolutely. Let me ask our listeners a question. Have you ever been in a conversation, you know exactly what you want to say in your own language, but when you try to say it in English, there's a pause, a little moment of silence where your brain is working overtime?
Oh, that dreaded pause. I know it well from when I was learning Spanish. It's like you have a million thoughts, but they're all in the wrong language. You're frantically trying to translate every single word in your head before you speak. It's exhausting and, honestly, a little embarrassing sometimes, right?
Exactly. It slows you down, it makes you feel less confident, and by the time you've perfectly crafted that sentence in your mind, the conversation has already moved on. The moment is gone.
It's one of the biggest hurdles for English learners. They think in their native language first, then they act as their own personal translator, and then they try to speak. It's a three-step process, when fluent conversation needs to be a one-step process.
But what if we told you there's a way to skip those extra steps? What if you could train your brain to form thoughts directly in English, just like a native speaker does?
That's what we're here to talk about today. In this episode, we are going to dive deep into how you can make your brain think in English. And trust me, once you unlock this skill, everything about learning English becomes easier. Everything.
It's so true. Your speaking becomes faster and more natural. Your listening comprehension goes through the roof because you're not translating what you hear. Even your writing improves because the sentence structures start to feel more natural to you.
So if you've ever found yourself wondering, how do I stop translating in my head? How do I make English my brain's default language? Then please get comfortable, maybe grab a cup of tea or coffee, because you are in the right place.
We have some incredibly powerful yet simple techniques to share with you. This is going to be a fun one. Let's dive in.
All right, Olivia. So before we get into the how, I think we need to spend a little more time on the why. Why is thinking directly in English so fundamentally important for anyone who wants to become truly fluent?
That's such a great place to start, Olivia, because if learners don't fully understand the benefit, they might not stick with the practice. The truth is, and this might sound a little blunt, but if you are always thinking in your native language and then translating, you will never achieve true fluency.
Wow, that's a bold statement, but I 100% agree. It's like you're putting a permanent speed limit on your English ability. Your brain is doing double the work for every single sentence. Imagine trying to run a race, but for every step forward, you first have to take a step to the side. It's just not efficient.
Exactly. Think about the mental energy it consumes. First, your brain has to process a thought or an idea in your native language. It forms a perfect sentence with all the right grammar and vocabulary. That's task number one.
Okay, got it.
Then, your brain has to switch gears completely. It becomes a translation machine. It searches for the equivalent English words for every single word in that sentence. And this is where the problems really start.
Oh, I can see where this is going, because a direct word-for-word translation almost never works, does it?
Almost never. Every language has its own unique structure, its own idioms, its own way of phrasing things. A perfect example I hear a lot comes from Spanish speakers. In Spanish, to say your age, you say tengo 25 años, which translates literally to I have 25 years. So a learner who is translating directly might say, I have 25 years old.
Right. And the native English speaker would immediately know what they mean, but it sounds unnatural. We would always say, I am 25 years old. It's a small difference, but it's those little things that separate intermediate speakers from fluent, natural-sounding speakers.
Precisely. Or think about idioms. In English, if something is very expensive, we might say, it costs an arm and a leg. Can you imagine translating that literally into another language? People would think you're talking about surgery.
Yeah, they'd be very confused and probably a little worried. Every language is full of these phrases that just don't make sense when you translate them word for word. So when you think in your native language, you're trying to force its rules and structures onto English, and they just don't fit.
It's like trying to put a square peg in a round hole. It creates awkward, clunky sentences. But when you start thinking in English, your brain automatically begins to build sentences the way an English speaker would. It starts with the right foundation. You start to develop a feel for the language.
A feel for the language. I love that phrase. It's not just about knowing the rules. It's about an intuition, a sense of what sounds right. And you can only get that by immersing your brain in English thought patterns.
Let's talk about another huge benefit, confidence. James, have you ever seen a learner's face light up when they respond to a question instantly, without hesitation?
Oh, it's the best feeling to witness. Their eyes get wide, they smile because they surprised themselves. They didn't have to go through that slow, painful translation process. The answer just came out.
Yes, and that's what thinking in English does for you. It builds a direct bridge between a thought and your mouth. Words come to you faster, more naturally. You stop having those long, awkward pauses where you're searching for a word. You can keep up with the rhythm of a conversation.
And that rhythm is so important. A conversation is like a dance. If one person is constantly stopping to think about their next step, the dance falls apart. Responding naturally and smoothly makes you a better conversation partner, and it makes you feel more confident and capable.
I couldn't agree more. And this leads to another huge point. It dramatically improves your listening skills. This is something learners often don't connect.
That's so true. They think of speaking and listening as two separate skills. How does thinking in English help you become a better listener?
Well, think about it. If your brain is set to translation mode, when you hear someone speaking English, what does your brain automatically try to do?
It tries to translate everything they're saying back into your native language in real time. Exactly. And native speakers talk fast. By the time your brain has translated the first half of their sentence, they've already finished the second half, and you're completely lost. You're constantly playing catch up.
You're so focused on understanding the individual words that you miss the overall meaning. It's like trying to watch a movie by looking at one frame at a time. You miss the story.
But if your brain is already in English mode, if it's comfortable thinking in English, it doesn't need to translate. It just understands. It processes the English as it comes in directly. You can focus on the speaker's tone, their emotion, and the actual message they're trying to convey.
This makes so much sense. It's why watching movies with subtitles in your own language can sometimes be a trap. It keeps your brain in translation mode. When you start thinking in English, you can actually watch a movie and just enjoy it. You start to hear the jokes and nuances you were missing before.
You really do. And one final point on the why, and it's a subtle one, is that it even helps with your pronunciation.
Okay, now you have to explain that one to me. How does thinking affect the way you physically speak?
It's about your inner voice. When you start thinking in English, you start to hear the words in your head. And you don't just hear the words. You hear the music of the language, the rhythm, the stress on certain syllables, the intonation, the things that make English sound like English.
Ah, I get it. So instead of thinking of a word as just a piece of text, you start to have an internal audio file for it. You hear it in your mind the way a native speaker would say it.
You've got it. You start to internalize the sounds. So when you go to speak, you're not just trying to remember how to pronounce a word based on spelling. You're trying to replicate the sound you already have in your head. It helps you speak more clearly and with a more natural accent over time.
That's a brilliant point. So just to quickly summarize for everyone listening, we're not just saying think in English because it's a neat trick.
We're saying it because it is the key to unlocking your true potential. It helps you speak faster and more naturally.
It boosts your confidence like nothing else.
It supercharges your listening skills.
And it can even improve your pronunciation. It fundamentally changes your relationship with the English language.
Okay, I think we're all convinced. Everyone listening is probably nodding their head saying, okay, I get it. I need to do this. But then comes the next big question, how? How do I actually stop my brain from doing what it's done its entire life and start thinking in a whole new language?
Don't worry, we would never leave you hanging. We're going to break it down into simple, practical, step-by-step strategies. But first, I think it's really important to talk about the common mistakes and mental blocks that hold people back. We need to clear those out of the way first.
An excellent idea. Let's talk about the traps that stop learners from even getting started. Okay, Olivia, so we've established why thinking in English is the ultimate goal. But as we all know, knowing something and doing it are two very different things. A lot of learners try, but they get stuck. Let's talk about the invisible walls they run into. What are the common mistakes that stop people from successfully training their brains?
This is such a crucial part of the conversation because many learners don't even realize they're making these mistakes. They think they're doing the right thing, but they're actually reinforcing the bad habit of translating. Once you become aware of these traps, you can actively avoid them.
Let's start with the biggest one, the one we've already touched on. Mistake number 1, relying too much on your bilingual dictionary or translation app.
This is a huge one. These tools feel like your best friend when you're learning, right? You don't know a word, you type it in, and poof, you have the answer in your native language. It's fast, it's easy, and it feels like you're learning.
But it's a crutch. A crutch is a tool that helps you when you're injured, but if you use it forever, your muscles never get strong. If you constantly run to a translator, your brain's English thinking muscle never gets a workout.
That is the perfect analogy. Every time you translate a word from English to your native language, you are literally training your brain to be a translator. You're telling it, hey, the only way to understand this English word is to connect it back to our first language.
You're reinforcing the two-step process. So what you're saying is, while it feels helpful in the moment, it's actually sabotaging your long-term goal of thinking directly in English.
Exactly. It keeps you on the surface of the language. You're just swapping words, not understanding concepts within English. It's a habit that is very, very hard to break.
Okay, so that's a big one. Over-reliance on translation tools. What's mistake number 2?
This one might be a bit controversial. Mistake number 2 is focusing too much on grammar while you're thinking.
Ooh, I can hear some of our listeners getting nervous already and laughing. But Olivia, my teacher told me grammar is the most important thing.
And grammar is important, don't get me wrong. It's the skeleton that holds the language together. But there's a time and a place for it. Many learners try to be perfect grammar robots in their heads. Before they even form a thought, they're already worrying, should I use the present perfect or the past simple? Is this an uncountable noun? Do I need an article here?
And all that mental checking and rechecking paralyzes them. It creates what I call analysis paralysis. They're so busy editing the sentence in their head that they never actually say the sentence.
Precisely. Think about how you speak in your native language. When you're having an exciting conversation with a friend, are you consciously thinking about verb conjugations and noun clauses?
Of course not. It would be impossible. The words just flow. You're focused on the message, the idea, the emotion you want to share, not the grammatical mechanics.
And that's the goal in English, too. Native speakers make grammar mistakes all the time in casual conversation. We say who instead of whom. We end sentences with prepositions. It happens. Fluency is about communication, not perfection. If you constantly stop your thoughts to run a grammar check, you'll never develop that natural flow.
So the advice here is to give yourself permission to be imperfect. When you're practicing thinking in English, focus on getting the idea out, not on getting it out perfectly. You can always study the grammar rules later as a separate activity.
Exactly. Don't let the pursuit of perfection stop you from making progress.
I love that. Okay, what's mistake number 3? This one seems related.
It is. It's the fear of making mistakes. This is a huge emotional barrier. Some people are so terrified of saying something wrong, of sounding silly or uneducated, that they just stay silent. They stop themselves from thinking and, therefore, from speaking in English at all.
The internal critic becomes too loud. That little voice in your head that says, "Don't say that, you'll sound stupid, they're gonna laugh at you." It's a very powerful and destructive voice.
It is, and it comes from a place of wanting to do well, which is good, but it backfires. I want to say this to everyone listening. Making mistakes is not a sign of failure. It is the only way to learn. It is proof that you are trying, that you are pushing your boundaries.
Every single mistake is a learning opportunity. When you say something and it doesn't sound right, or someone corrects you, your brain remembers that. It's a much more powerful lesson than just reading a rule in a textbook. You have to be brave enough to be a beginner.
Absolutely. No one expects you to be perfect. In fact, most native speakers are incredibly impressed and happy that you're making the effort to speak their language. They are not there to judge your grammar. They just want to communicate with you. So you have to learn to silence that inner critic and just let the words come out, mistakes and all.
Great advice. Okay, we've got reliance on translation, overthinking grammar, and fear of mistakes. What's the fourth and final common mistake?
The fourth one is a lifestyle mistake, really. It's not surrounding yourself with enough English. I call this the classroom trap.
The classroom trap. Tell me more.
This is when a learner treats English like a subject in school. They study for an hour a day, they do their homework, they go to their English class, and for the other 23 hours of the day, their world is 100% in their native language. Their phone is in their native language, the music they listen to, the movies they watch, the news they read, everything.
And because of that, their brain never gets the chance to switch over. English remains a foreign, academic thing. It's not part of their real everyday life.
Exactly. Your brain is a creature of habit. If its default environment is your native language, it will naturally default to thinking in that language. You can't expect to train your brain to think in English if you only expose it to English for 5% of your day.
It's like trying to learn to swim, but only ever going into the water up to your ankles. You have to immerse yourself. You have to make English unavoidable.
That's the key word, immersion. It doesn't mean you have to move to an English-speaking country, which isn't possible for everyone. But you can create an English immersion environment right where you are. We'll talk more about how to do that later, but the mistake is failing to do it at all.
This is all making so much sense. Okay, let's do a quick recap of these 4 major mistakes that block you from thinking in English. Number 1 was relying too much on translation apps and bilingual dictionaries.
Number 2 was overthinking grammar and trying to be perfect before you even form a thought.
Number 3 was the fear of making mistakes, which paralyzes you and stops you from practicing.
And number 4 was not surrounding yourself with enough English in your daily life, keeping it trapped in the classroom.
If anyone listening recognizes themselves in any of these points, please don't feel bad. This is completely normal. The good news is that now you're aware of them, and awareness is the first step to change.
Yes, and now that we've cleared the ground and identified the traps, I think it's time for the most important part of our conversation. Let's share our powerful, step-by-step strategies to actually start building the habit of thinking in English. I'm so excited for this part.
All right, Olivia, this is the moment everyone has been waiting for. We've talked about the why, we've talked about what not to do. Now let's get into the practical, actionable advice. How can our listeners, starting today, begin to train their brains to think directly in English?
Yes, let's build this from the ground up. We're going to share 6 simple yet incredibly powerful steps. And we'll start with the easiest one, something anyone can do this very second. Step 1 is to simply name things around you in English.
I love this one. It's so non-threatening. There's no pressure. So what does that look like in practice?
It's exactly as simple as it sounds. Wherever you are right now, in your room, on a bus, at your office, just look around you, and in your head, silently, say the English name for the objects you see. For example, I'm in our studio right now. I'm looking around, and my brain is going, microphone, headphones, table, computer, water bottle, clock, door, window.
So you're not building sentences. You're not worrying about grammar. You're just making a direct one-to-one connection between the physical object and the English word. You're cutting out the middleman.
You are completely cutting out the middleman. You're training your brain that when it sees that object, the first word that should pop into its head is the English one, not the one from your native language. It's a foundational exercise in building new mental pathways.
That's fantastic. And then once that feels a little more comfortable, you could take it a tiny step further, right? You could start describing them with a single adjective.
Ooh, a great idea. So instead of just chair, you could think black chair. Instead of wall, you could think white wall, or bright light, round clock. You're adding a small layer of complexity without any pressure.
And you can turn it into a little game. When you walk into a new room, challenge yourself to mentally label 5 things in English before you do anything else. It takes, what, 10 seconds?
Not even. But if you do that every time you enter a room, imagine how many hundreds of English words you are practicing and reinforcing every single day. It's a habit that builds on itself. So that's step 1, name things. Simple, easy, effective.
Perfect. What's step 2?
Step 2 is to talk to yourself in English. Now, I know this might feel a little strange or even crazy at first, but it is one of the single most effective techniques there is.
Yeah, people might worry someone will see them talking to themselves, but you can do it in your head, right? This is your internal monologue.
You can absolutely start by doing it just in your head. But eventually, I highly encourage people to do it out loud when they're alone. It adds another layer of practice for your mouth and your ears. But let's focus on the thinking part. All you're doing is narrating your own life, like you're the star of your own movie.
Give us an example. What would that sound like if you're, say, making breakfast in the morning?
Okay, so I wake up, my inner voice, in English, might say, okay, time to get up. I'm a little tired today. I'm going to the kitchen now. What should I have for breakfast? I think I'll make some coffee. I need to get the coffee from the cupboard. Now I'll pour some water into the machine. I'm gonna toast some bread.
It's just simple, descriptive sentences about what you are doing, seeing, and feeling in that exact moment.
Precisely. There's no pressure because no one is listening. You can't make a mistake because there's no one to judge you. If you don't know a word, it's okay. You can just describe it. If you don't know the word kettle, you can just think, I'm gonna boil water in that thing. The goal is to keep the thought process flowing in English.
This is brilliant because it takes English out of the textbook and puts it directly into your real everyday life. You're connecting the language to your actions.
Yes, and you can do it anywhere. When you're getting dressed, I'll wear the blue shirt today. When you're walking outside, it's a sunny day. There are a lot of people on the street. It becomes a running commentary that keeps your brain constantly engaged in English.
Fantastic. So we have naming objects and we have narrating our actions. What is step number 3?
Step number 3 is a very important tool change. You need to start using an English-to-English dictionary.
Ah, yes, we talked about the trap of bilingual dictionaries. This is the solution. Explain to our listeners why this is such a game changer.
When you use a bilingual dictionary and look up an unfamiliar English word, let's say the word enormous, it just gives you the equivalent word in your language. It's a quick translation. But when you look up enormous in an English-to-English dictionary, what do you see?
You will see a definition in English, something like extremely large, very big.
Exactly. So instead of jumping out of the English language to understand the word, you are staying within the language. You are using English to understand English. Your brain is forced to think a little harder, to make connections between words you already know, like very and big, to understand a new word, enormous.
It's like building a web of knowledge. Every new word becomes connected to other English words, not to your native language. This strengthens your overall English network in your brain.
It really does. It also improves your vocabulary much more effectively because you're not just learning one word, you're learning about it in context, seeing how it's described. It might give you synonyms like huge or gigantic. You learn a whole family of words instead of just one.
So the challenge is to delete that translation app from your phone and download a good English-to-English dictionary instead, like Merriam-Webster or the Oxford English Dictionary. It might feel slower and more difficult at first, but the long-term benefit is massive.
It's one of the most important shifts a serious learner can make. It forces your brain to stop looking for the easy way out and start actually thinking in English.
Excellent. That's 3 steps down. What's number 4?
Step 4 is a very important tool change. You need to start using an English-to-English dictionary.
Yes, we talked about the trap of bilingual dictionaries. This is the solution. Explain to our listeners why this is such a game changer.
When you use a bilingual dictionary and look up an unfamiliar English word, let's say the word enormous, it just gives you the equivalent word in your language. It's a quick translation. But when you look up enormous in an English-to-English dictionary, what do you see?
You'll see a definition in English, something like extremely large, very big.
Exactly. So instead of jumping out of the English language to understand the word, you are staying within the language. You are using English to understand English. Your brain is forced to think a little harder, to make connections between words you already know, like very and big, to understand a new word, enormous.
It's like building a web of knowledge. Every new word becomes connected to other English words, not to your native language. This strengthens your overall English network in your brain.
It really does. It also improves your vocabulary much more effectively because you're not just learning one word, you're learning about it in context, seeing how it's described. It might give you synonyms like huge or gigantic. You learn a whole family of words instead of just one.
So the challenge is to delete that translation app from your phone and download a good English-to-English dictionary instead, like Merriam-Webster or the Oxford English Dictionary. It might feel slower and more difficult at first, but the long-term benefit is massive.
It's one of the most important shifts a serious learner can make. It forces your brain to stop looking for the easy way out and start actually thinking in English.
Excellent. That's 3 steps down. What's number 4?
Step 4 is a very important tool change. You need to start thinking in simple sentences first. Many learners make the mistake of trying to form beautiful, complex, multi-clause sentences in their heads from day one. And what happens? They get overwhelmed and give up.
I see this all the time. They try to translate a very sophisticated thought from their native language, and they just don't have the English vocabulary or grammar for it yet. So they get stuck and frustrated.
Right. So you have to give yourself permission to think like a child again. Start with very short, simple thoughts. For instance, instead of trying to think, I believe I should probably go to the grocery store this afternoon because we have run out of the necessary ingredients for the dinner I was planning to cook tonight.
Okay, that's a mouthful even for a native speaker to think.
Right? Just break it down. Start with the most basic idea. I need food. Then maybe add a little more. I need to go to the store. Then I will go this afternoon. I need vegetables for dinner.
You're building with Legos, not trying to carve a marble statue. Start with the small, simple blocks. It's less intimidating, and it allows you to have successful moments of thinking in English, which builds confidence.
Yes, confidence is key. Once you get comfortable forming those short, simple sentences, your brain will naturally, over time, start connecting them. Those simple thoughts will evolve into more complex ones without you even trying, but you have to master the basics first.
Start small, build from there. Great advice. We're on a roll. What's step 5?
Step 5 is one of my personal favorites. You need to consciously develop an English inner voice. This is a bit different from just narrating your actions. This is about having actual conversations and thoughts inside your own head.
So instead of just describing, you're deliberating, planning, asking questions.
All of the above. For example, when you're planning your day, instead of doing it in your native language, switch your inner voice to English. Think to yourself, okay, what do I need to do today? First, I have to answer some emails. Then I have that meeting at 11 a.m. What should I wear for the meeting? Maybe the blue shirt would be good. After the meeting, I need to call my mom.
You're essentially turning your planning session into a silent English conversation with yourself. It's like having a little English-speaking assistant living in your brain.
It is, and you can ask yourself questions. How do I feel today? I feel a bit tired. Why am I tired? Because I didn't sleep well. You can even give yourself opinions on things. Oh, I really like this song. This coffee is delicious.
This feels like the most advanced step so far because it requires you to be a bit more creative and spontaneous with the language.
It is, but it's also the most powerful for achieving true fluency of thought, because this is what native speakers do all day long. Our brains are constantly chattering away in English. By intentionally switching your own inner chatter to English, you are directly mimicking the thought process of a native speaker. It is the most direct way to start thinking in English without any effort.
That's an amazing technique. And finally, what's our 6th and final step?
The 6th step ties everything together. You have to surround yourself with English. Create that immersion bubble we talked about earlier.
So this is about changing your environment to make English the default, to make it unavoidable.
Yes. The more English you put into your brain, the more English will naturally come out of it. It's a simple input-output system. If your input is 90% your native language, your thoughts will be too. If you shift that balance, your thoughts will shift as well.
So what are some practical ways to do this?
So many things. Change the language on your phone and your computer to English. It's a small thing, but you'll learn all the technical vocabulary you need without even trying. Listen to English podcasts like this one. Listen to English music, even if you don't understand all the lyrics at first. Just get your ears used to the sounds.
Watch movies and TV shows in English. Maybe start with English subtitles, but the goal is to eventually watch with no subtitles at all. Read in English. It doesn't have to be a difficult novel. It can be news articles, blog posts about your hobbies, even comic books.
The more you expose your brain to natural English, the more it starts to recognize the patterns, the rhythm, and the sentence structures. It absorbs the language passively. And soon, you'll find those same patterns showing up in your own thoughts.
It's about making English a part of your life, not just a subject you study.
That's the perfect way to put it. Okay, let's do a very quick recap of those 6 incredible steps.
Step 1. Name things around you in English.
Step 2. Talk to yourself in English, narrating your actions.
Step 3. Use an English-to-English dictionary.
Step 4. Think in simple, short sentences first.
Step 5. Develop an English inner voice by having conversations in your head.
And step 6. Surround yourself with English to create an immersion environment.
These steps are so practical, and the best part is you don't have to do them all at once. You can just start with step 1 today and slowly add the others as you get more comfortable.
Absolutely. This isn't a race. It's a journey of building a new, powerful habit. And speaking of habits, up next, let's talk about some specific daily exercises you can do to really make thinking in English an automatic, permanent part of who you are.
Okay, Olivia, we've laid out the 6 big strategies. They're like the main ingredients in our recipe for thinking in English. But now, let's talk about the daily cooking instructions. How can our listeners take these ideas and turn them into concrete daily exercises to make this a real, lasting habit?
Yes, this is where the real magic happens. Because just knowing the techniques isn't enough. You need consistent practice. It's like going to the gym. You can't just go once and expect to be strong. You have to go regularly. These daily exercises are like your brain's daily workout.
I love that analogy. So, what's the first daily exercise you'd recommend?
The first one is to start and end your day with English thoughts. This is about setting the tone. The moment you wake up, before you check your phone, before you even get out of bed, try to form your first thoughts of the day in English.
So, instead of your mind immediately jumping to your to-do list in your native language, you intentionally switch it to English.
Exactly. It can be super simple. You can just think, "Good morning. It's Wednesday. I slept well. I need to get up now. I'm feeling a little hungry." You're basically telling your brain, "Hey, we're going to be using English today," right from the very start.
And then you do the same thing at night?
Yes, just before you fall asleep, instead of replaying the day's events in your native language, do it in English. Review your day. Ask yourself, what did I do today? I had a meeting. It went well. I talked to my friend on the phone. I watched a movie. Did I enjoy it? Yes, it was funny. What am I going to do tomorrow?
It's like bookending your day with English. It creates a powerful psychological cue for your brain that English is a priority. I really like that. Okay, what's another daily practice?
The second one is what I call the no translation time block. For a set period every day, maybe just 15 or 30 minutes to start, you set a rule for yourself. Absolutely no translating is allowed.
Ooh, a challenge. I like it. So for those 30 minutes, you are only allowed to think, and if you're speaking, only speak in English.
Yes, and if you don't know a word, you're not allowed to look it up in your translator. It's against the rules.
So what do you do?
You have to get creative. You have to practice the skill of circumlocution, which is a fancy word for describing your way around a word you don't know. So if you want to talk about your nephew, but you forget the word nephew, you have to say, my sister's son. If you forget the word scissors, you say the tool you use to cut paper.
That is such a fantastic skill to build because that's what you have to do in real conversations when you get stuck. This exercise directly practices that real-world skill. It forces you to be resourceful with the English you already know.
It really does. It might feel difficult and frustrating at first, but it is an incredible workout for your brain. It trains you to stay in English mode even when things get tough.
Okay, that's a great one. What's another exercise?
A great follow-up to that is to talk to yourself in English out loud for 5 minutes every day. We mentioned talking to yourself before, but this is about making it a scheduled, intentional practice and doing it out loud.
So you find a private space, your room, your car, maybe when you're taking a walk alone, and you just speak.
You just speak. You can describe what you're doing, just like we talked about before. I am making a cup of tea. The water is hot. It smells so good. I will drink this while I read my book. The key is to get your mouth, your ears, and your brain all working together in English. You hear your own voice speaking English, which makes it feel less foreign.
It also helps you identify where your pronunciation challenges are. You might realize that a word you can read perfectly is actually difficult for you to say.
Exactly. It connects the mental act of thinking with the physical act of speaking. Even just 5 minutes a day will build your confidence for real conversations immensely.
This is all so practical. Let's keep going. What's next on our list of daily exercises?
The next one is to use English during a simple, mindless activity. Think about activities you do every day that don't require a lot of brain power, like washing the dishes, folding laundry, driving to work, or taking a shower.
Usually during those times, our minds just wander, right? We think about random things in our native language.
Right. So this exercise is about hijacking that mindless time and making it productive English practice time. Instead of letting your mind wander, consciously focus on thinking in English. If you're going for a walk, don't just walk. Actively describe what you see in your head. The sky is blue today. There are a few clouds. I can hear birds singing. That's a beautiful dog. I feel relaxed.
You're transforming dead time into active learning time. It's about finding those hidden pockets in your day where you can fit in a little extra practice without having to schedule anything new.
It's all about efficiency. And finally, the last daily exercise I'd recommend is to keep a simple English journal.
Ah, the classic journaling exercise. Why is this so effective?
Because it forces you to structure your thoughts in English. Writing is like a slowed-down version of thinking. It gives you time to find the right words and form proper sentences without the pressure of a real-time conversation.
And you don't have to write a masterpiece, right?
Not at all. Don't worry about perfect grammar or spelling. The goal is expression, not perfection. You can just write 1 or 2 sentences about your day. Today was a good day. I learned a new word in English. I feel proud. Or you can write down your goals, your thoughts, your worries, anything.
And it creates a written record of your progress. You can look back at an entry from a month ago and see how much more complex and natural your writing, and therefore your thinking, has become.
It's incredibly motivating. It's tangible proof that your hard work is paying off. So, to quickly summarize these powerful daily exercises.
1. Start and end your day with English thoughts.
2. Set a no translation time block for at least 15 to 30 minutes.
3. Talk to yourself out loud in English for 5 minutes.
4. Use English during simple, mindless daily activities.
And 5. Keep a simple English journal.
If you can incorporate even 2 or 3 of these into your daily routine,
I promise you, thinking in English will start to become second nature. It will shift from being something you have to try to do to something your brain just does automatically.
That's the goal, automaticity. But Olivia, let's be real. This journey isn't always easy. Learners will face challenges and moments of frustration. I think it's important we talk about how to stay motivated and overcome those hurdles.
I completely agree. Let's tackle that next.
Okay, Olivia, we have given our listeners a fantastic toolkit of strategies and daily exercises, but we need to be honest. Even with the best tools, there will be difficult days. Days when their brain feels tired, when it automatically switches back to their native language, or when they just feel stuck.
Absolutely. This is completely normal. Learning a language is not a straight line upwards. It's full of peaks and valleys. The key is not to avoid the challenges, but to have a plan for how to overcome them when they appear. Giving up is not an option.
So let's talk about the biggest challenge first, the one that happens to everyone, that feeling that your brain just naturally defaults back to your native language. You try to think in English, but the other language is just stronger. It's louder.
Yes, this is the power of a lifetime of habit. The solution here is patience and starting small. You cannot expect to switch your thinking 100% to English overnight. When you feel your brain defaulting back, don't get angry with yourself. Just gently guide it back.
So instead of thinking, ugh, I failed, I'm thinking in my language again, you should think, okay, that's interesting. Now, let's try that thought again, but in English.
Exactly. And if a full sentence is too hard, go back to basics. Just think of the keywords in English, or just start by labeling the objects around you again. The goal is to have small, successful wins. Start with a single word, then a phrase, then a simple sentence. Be kind to yourself. This is a marathon, not a sprint.
That's great advice. Be patient and start small. Now, what about the second big challenge? Feeling stuck because you don't know the right word in English. This is so frustrating, and it can completely stop your thought process.
It happens to everyone, even native speakers. We all have those moments where a word is on the tip of our tongue. The absolute worst thing you can do in that moment is stop and switch to your translator.
Because that breaks the no translation rule and reinforces the bad habit.
Correct. The solution, as we touched on earlier, is to describe the word using other, more simple English words. Try to explain the concept. For example, if you're trying to think about your wallet, but you forget the word wallet, don't give up. Force your brain to find another way.
You could think, that leather thing where I keep my money and my cards.
Perfect. Or if you forget the word refrigerator, you can think the cold box in the kitchen where I keep the food. The goal is to keep the conversation in your head moving forward in English. It's not about finding the perfect word. It's about successfully communicating an idea.
And that's an incredibly valuable skill. It makes you a more resilient and flexible English speaker.
It really does. Now, this last challenge might be the toughest of all. It's the feeling that you're not making any progress. You've been practicing for weeks, but you still feel slow, you still make mistakes, and you start to lose motivation.
Ah, the motivation crisis. This is where so many people quit. They think this is just not working for me.
But the truth is, progress is often slow and invisible on a day-to-day basis. You might not notice the small improvements. The best solution for this is to track your progress. You need to create concrete evidence that you are getting better.
How can people do that?
The journal we mentioned is a perfect way. Keep writing in it every day. After a month, go back and read your first entry. I guarantee you, you will be amazed at how much better you have become. Another fantastic way is to record yourself.
Oh, that's a brave one.
It is, but it's so effective. Once a week, take your phone and for 1 minute, just record yourself talking in English about your day. Don't listen to it right away. Just save it. After 2 or 3 months, go back and listen to your first recording, and then listen to your most recent one.
The difference would be undeniable. You'd hear that you're speaking faster, using better vocabulary, hesitating less.
You will hear the proof. It will destroy that negative voice in your head that says you're not improving. You have to be your own cheerleader, and tracking your progress gives you the data you need to stay positive and keep going.
That is such a powerful idea. The most important thing through all of this is to stay patient and be consistent. Thinking in English is a skill, and just like learning to play the piano or learning to cook, it takes time and daily practice.
That's right. Don't be afraid of mistakes. See them as your teachers. Just keep practicing, keep immersing yourself, and one day you'll suddenly realize something amazing. You'll realize you just had a 5-minute thought process entirely in English, and you didn't even have to try. It just happened. And that is an incredible feeling.
Wow, Olivia, we have covered so much amazing ground today. From the why to the how, from the mistakes to avoid to the daily habits to build, I really feel like thinking in English is a journey. But with the right map, anyone can reach the destination.
I couldn't agree more, and I hope the map we've shared today helps all of our listeners. Remember, everyone, start small, be consistent, and most importantly, be kind to yourself. Don't be afraid of making mistakes because they are a beautiful sign that you are learning and growing.
The more you practice these techniques, the easier and more natural it will all become. You can do this.
Now, we have a question for all of you, our wonderful listeners. What is one tip or one exercise from today's episode that you are going to try first? Which one felt the most exciting or achievable for you?
Let us know. You can leave a comment below this video if you're watching on YouTube, or connect with us on our social media channels. We absolutely love hearing from you and sharing in your English learning journey.
And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new episode of the Best English Podcast. We have so many more tips and tricks to share with you.
Keep practicing, keep listening, and keep thinking in English. We'll see you in the next episode.
Until then, happy learning, everyone.